What is up, friends, family, and nerds of the internet coming here to join me for episode 4, I believe it is now, of Cheap Shot Cinema. It is November 8th, which means hopefully you voted today. Here in Minnesota, polls are closing in about a half an hour. So as you can see, boom, voted. I actually voted before work this morning. I was really getting up and getting at it this morning. Mostly just, I actually didn't work until 10, so might as well get up, about normal time and just go vote. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. If you want to hear about politics, literally just turn on the television. So, to pretty much any news station. Just, yeah, do it. We're here to talk about movies and fun TV, I guess, is what we're going to do today. So a lot of things to get to. I'm going to go through some major topics, and I got a lot to get to in quick shots as well. So I'm going to try to keep this, relatively quick, try to keep it between 20 and 30 minutes typically. So to begin today, it's been announced that there is potentially a Starship Troopers remake being produced. It's by the writers Mark Swift and Damian Shannon, the guys who are actually writing the Baywatch movie with Zac Efron and Dwayne Johnson. So if you haven't seen Starship Troopers, it's a cult classic kind of horror war drama comedy movie from 97, and it's based off of Robert Heinlein's book of the same name, Starship Troopers. Man, I'm having trouble with that today. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, maybe go watch it. I don't know. It's bad, but kind of in a good way. So discretion, use your discretion. The book is highly military. Robert Heinlein had a background in the military, so it's basically a book about Space Marines and how that works. So if you're familiar with Halo, you might actually enjoy it. But instead of focusing on the battles, a good majority of the book is actually focused on training and mindset and how you develop through the hardest training in the world, essentially, to battle this alien enemy, which in this case happens to be giant bugs. So when they did the movie back in 97, the director took a lot of liberties, let's say. He took a lot of liberties. He basically took the names of the characters and in some different aspects, including bugs as the antagonist, and that's about it. It turned out to be just this ridiculously gory, over-the-top, language-filled, sex-filled romp of what military life is like. And it became kind of a cult classic. A lot of people really do like it. I am torn. It's one of those where I'm not opposed to watching it, but I don't own it, and I wouldn't own it. It's just, it's okay. It's good, not great. It's like I said, it's good in kind of a bad way. So definitely use your discretion. The fact that we got a couple of guys that are writing a Baywatch movie, potentially writing this movie, or being, penned to script the movie. So, I mean, it's moving along in pre-production here. Doesn't make me super excited about where this could go. I think the book, for the vast majority of the book, like I said, I've read most of it. I probably should finish it, but I should probably finish a lot of books. The vast majority of the book is mostly, it doesn't have a lot of battle in it. We open in a battle in the book, and other than that, we kind of flash back to the training of the main character and his development, and just kind of actually the monotony of war and how boring war can be at times. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of Jarhead in that sense of that sometimes war is not that exciting. So I think at the end of the book, though, it does ramp up a little bit. So I would like a little more closer adaptation of pretty much what war would be like what a good war movie on Earth would be like, except put it in space and put it against a non-human enemy, and bring in different elements of action in there, but don't make it overly cheesy again. And doesn't make me super confident, like I said, that they're going to have a couple of guys that are doing a Baywatch script write it. So we'll see what happens. Mild interest and we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. If you like the original movie, tell me why you like it outside of Neil Patrick Harris being in it and the hot girl Denise Richards, I think. Let's check. Denise Richards. Yes, I was right. Also, if you like the book, let me know. The book it's a solid book, but it wasn't really what I was expecting. So because I was expecting something similar to the movie because I saw the movie first. So anyways, yeah, kind of uncertain, but semi-excited. So moving on. I will say we're going to talk a lot about stuff related to either Game of Thrones or the DC universe, and they're kind of interconnected, and you'll see what I mean. So I actually woke up this morning to major Game of Thrones spoilers, and I'm not actually going to talk about them because these, when I say major, I mean huge entire plot points being destroyed. So a guy on Reddit, I don't know exactly his Reddit username, posted all these different things. And then I think it was Huffington Post got a hold of them as well. And we're like, wow, this is ridiculously in-depth spoilers throughout season 7. Not like just one little thing. Like we're talking like 10 to 12 major spoilers. So I'll put a link down below if you want to check it out after you're done watching the video. And you can see if you want to go through it. I felt the need to go through it. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fans, but I want to see what they have to say, just, for your guys' benefit. I have my own speculation, so that might weigh into it a little bit and some things that I'm writing, but feel free to check it out. But it's just so massive and so much spoilers that it would literally take me an entire episode to go through it, and I don't want to do that right now, at least. So we'll talk about that possibly at another time. Or at the very least, I'm writing some stuff about it. So, next thing is Justice League. So the supervillain has been announced, or the main villain in Justice League has been announced as Steppenwolf. Now, people who are unfamiliar with that, Steppenwolf is actually a general in Darkseid's forces. You can say he's his uncle. Steppenwolf is Darkseid's uncle. And then he becomes a general, and, he's basically he's an alien that can't die and superhuman strength, the normal stuff, the normal aliens, supervillain things. So he's going to be the main villain. For those of you who didn't see the extended edition of Batman vs. Superman, you're probably not overly familiar. This is probably just coming out of the blue for you. But in the extended edition or the deleted scenes, whichever, we actually see Lex Luthor talking to Steppenwolf towards the end of the movie before Lex is put into prison. So he's basically this demonic alien warlord type of situation. And it has something to do with these special cubes that are important to the DC universe for different power sources and things like that. I believe one of these cubes was helped to revive Cyborg in the Batman vs. Superman movie, the little clip we see on Cyborg. So extremely powerful cubes. Steppenwolf, I think, is trying to collect these or something or another like that. So we haven't reached Darkseid yet, but we're getting awfully close. So that's interesting. How it connects to Game of Thrones is Kieran Hines, the guy who plays the king beyond the wall. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, Kieran Hines. He played the king beyond the wall in Game of Thrones. He is also Dumbledore's brother in Harry Potter. He's going to be playing Steppenwolf. It's going to be motion capture, just like pretty much everything Andy Serkis does. So I don't know how much that's going to weigh into the actual acting of the bit, and so I'm not really excited about that because typically, even though I love Andy Serkis, typically that's not going to weigh into, a great deal of acting. So although I appreciate motion capture guys and what they do, most people can do it fairly well. And I mean, let's be honest here, we're not going up for Oscars anyways. So they could have put a whole variety of different people into that role, and I would have been cool. I like the villain. I don't really mind who's playing him regardless. They could have put a lot of people in there. So if you're interested in that aspect of it, though, fantastic. He did do well in Game of Thrones, I thought. So moving on to a Batman, the Batman. If you're unfamiliar, Ben Affleck is directing a Batman movie, which he will also star in as Batman, and it's being titled, of course, The Batman. So we've had just Batman, and then we had The Dark Knight, or Batman Returns, and then it went to Dark Knight series and a bunch of different things. So now we just have The Batman. So the author of American Psycho recently told somebody. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I'll link it below. The article. He basically was in an interview, and he told whoever he was being interviewed by that he was at a lunch or dinner or something with some executives from Warner Brothers. And the executive from Warner Brothers said that they had been told by writers or producers or someone that there are a lot of script problems in Batman. And basically what the producer or the executives of Warner Brothers then told this guy was, we don't care. It's going to make tons of money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's 30 major issues or 70 major issues in the script. We could literally put anything out there and it would make tons of money. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit on that, but that's the general premise of what this author, Bret Easton, was told, quote unquote, by these executive producers or executives. Sorry, I keep saying producers, executives at Warner Brothers. Now, he came out later and said these guys, were just with Warner Brothers or something like that. They weren't directly attached to the movie. They were just comparing their issues with some other issues that had happened from other executives. But he's basically completely contradicting what he said in the initial quote, because this was basically word of mouth type of situation of him saying what he heard from someone else. So just kind of an odd situation. If there's any truth to it all, it's really, really disappointing. I say all the time, I tell my friends constantly, Hollywood is not about integrity. They're about making money. But that kind of lack of integrity is extremely disappointing from a movie lover like me, especially when I'm more excited about the DC universe than I am about Marvel. At this point in time, I kind of know what I'm getting from Marvel. I know it's going to be good, but I think DC could be better. I want darker movies. I want something that's a little more intense. And I thought I was going to get that from DC. And what I've gotten so far is poor writing and poorly thought out movies. And so it's just not super excited about it. So hopefully it's untrue, and hopefully what he said in his recant is closer to the truth than the actual original interview, saying that, basically these executives are saying they don't care if Batman sucks or not because it's going to make, ridiculous amounts of money here and overseas. So hopefully they're wrong. I really want to see Ben Affleck do a great job. I think he could do awesome at directing, and hopefully he will going forward. So, moving on to our final major topic of the day. Recently was announced, well, it wasn't announced recently. There recently was a release of a trailer for a show called Frontier that is airing on Discovery Canada. So it's an original series, and it documents the trade of furs in Canada, and I think in the 1700s sometimes. So Jason Momoa is going to be starring in this as one of the traders of furs, and it's pretty much being called like Game of Thrones in Canada is what I've heard about it. It's going to be really bloody. Being that it's on Discovery, it's probably not going to be as bloody, but you never know. The blood ratio on cable, I feel like, has gone up substantially ever since The Walking Dead. So it could be fairly bloody. It's probably not going to be nudity, though. So sorry, people who are into that, I guess. I can do without it. It's fine. I don't, it's not necessary most of the time. So anyways, I'm really excited about that. The trailer's really cool. I'll link that below as well. That was really fast. There, below. And so yeah, I'm just excited about new original content. That's always fun. It's gonna come out on Netflix shortly after it premieres on Discovery Canada, and it just looks like a cool show. It looks like a cool, interesting period piece about kind of the ruthlessness and cutthroat nature of the, I'm gonna say, American North. So I mean that would be like cowboy revolutionary times. I do believe it must have been in the 1700s because there's redcoats in it. So yeah, it would be closer to revolutionary times and stuff like that. So, and the bloody nature of it. So it kind of looks like Revenant, except played out a little more. So that's kind of cool. I like that period of time, and I'm excited to see more about what comes of it. And if you know me, I'm all about original content, and that's pretty original, even though it's based on true events, quote unquote. But yeah, that's going to be cool. So to wrap up, I'm doing pretty well on time today, guys. So to wrap up, I do have a couple of things to get into. So we're going to go into quick shots. That's basically, at the end of my shows, I'll go into a few different topics that don't really require extended conversation, but just kind of more quick points to them. And then basically I'll tell you whether the topics excite me or interest me, and I'll give a yes, no, or sort of, maybe, something like that. So, the Dark Tower movie release date was actually postponed recently from February 17th to July 28th. Now, I was really excited about this movie. I've read a portion of the first book, which again, I should probably finish books before I start reading other books, but what are you going to do? And I've been really excited about this movie. I think the world that they're in is really intriguing. It's like a mixture of Old West and kind of like a magical alternate reality of kind of just Old Westy nature, but there's also like other things going on in the background and different things like that. So I think that just the world they'll develop in the Dark Tower movie is really interesting. That being said, it sounds like this wasn't a big issue. It was just they were probably a little too... They tried to probably go through production a little faster than they actually could. So I don't think it was this as an issue thing. It just they were being a little too optimistic about how quickly they could get through post-production. So they pushed it back. Now it's going to be in the heat of blockbuster season, so maybe they also think that it can actually compete. So going from February to July, February is like Deadsville. There's not a lot of stuff. You don't release what you think is your good movies in February. So, excuse me. That's July time. That's May, June, July. So maybe they think it compete. That's pretty cool. So looking forward to that movie though. Moving on, Ghost in a Shell remake is recently been announced of what that's going to be. Is it going to be like a shot-for-shot remake of the original movie? From what it sounds like, no. It sounds like it's going to be based on the TV series. I watched the movie. I've seen it only once, though, and that's a few years back. I don't remember it super well. So I'm not a huge fan of this, but I know I probably have viewers out there that are fans of this, so I definitely wanted to bring it up. It's based on... Let's see here. Yeah, it's based on the TV series. It looks like the story of Coos. Hopefully I'm getting that right. In the origins, the backstory of that. So it's based on one of the TV series, not one of the original movies. So, interesting, to say the least. Third point, because I've done 2 in quick shots. Yeah, you get it. Third point, Young Justice Season 3 was announced. I believe it was either earlier today or sometime yesterday. I know a lot of people were excited about this. Season 3 was recently announced. They did 2 seasons and that ended about 3 years ago. And they decided to reboot it again because I think it's gained popularity by being on Netflix and different things like that. Haven't watched it. I am a huge fan of DC animated stuff, at least recently. I hadn't really watched a lot of things. Batman Year One was really good. Under the Red Hood is one of my favorite animated movies, Batman Under the Red Hood. Flashpoint Paradox is an amazing animated movie. And I'm watching the Dark Knight Returns movies right now. I actually just wrapped up the first one, and I'm probably going to watch the second one in the next few days. And that's really good as well. So probably something I'm going to have to throw into the mixture is the Young Justice first 2 seasons, because I believe they're on Netflix. So I know I had a few friends that were excited about season 3. So cool. Let's see here. When was that going to be released? Sorry, I don't have a release date on that. But yeah, season 3 has been announced. I don't know if they even had a release date. So, next topic. Stranger Things 2, season 2 had a few interesting casting, which is kind of cool to see that develop and bring in new casts. So, the bigger names are Sean Astin from Lord of the Rings, is where you know him from. He's Sam from Lord of the Rings. Basically, it sounds like he's going to be kind of a nerdy guy from town that grew up with Hopper and Joyce. That's David Harbour and Winona Ryder's characters. So grew up with them and is looks like he's going to manage a local Radio Shack. So remember, this is from the 80s. Radio Shack still existed back then. Also, Paul Reiser. A lot of people probably know him. He was kind of the business guy from Aliens. So that's where I knew him from. It looks like he's going to be a higher up in the Department of Energy. So we're going to have he's probably the new bad guy coming into play here. So interesting. I really like Sean Astin. Paul Reiser has been okay in the things I've seen him in. I think he's actually going to play well as a bad guy here. But Sean Astin, I think, is an interesting choice. I just don't know how much play he's going to get. But kind of a cool topic, something that I want to talk about. And, give me your opinions. Is there do you think this will actually play really well? I think Sean Astin will work great. But let me know if you have any other ideas of who you think would play well in a Stranger Things 2, season 2. So, finally, in quick shots, probably something I should have mentioned a little earlier, but whatever. We're getting to it. Johnny Depp was cast in Fantastic Beasts sequel. So, the Fantastic Beasts movie hasn't even released yet. I believe it's coming out this weekend, actually. I think so. So, hasn't even been released yet. They are releasing casting for the second episode, and Johnny Depp has been cast. This, to me, just actually seems like, how come Johnny Depp hasn't been in a Harry Potter movie before? He seems like he would just be a really good fit for that magical environment. So, didn't surprise me at all. It almost was like, oh yeah, Johnny Depp hasn't been in that universe yet. So that just makes sense to me. I think it's a great casting. Johnny Depp probably isn't as an elite of an actor as we may have thought he was back in when the first Pirates of the Caribbean came out. So he's definitely a character, and I will like to see if he's going to be more of a character like Jack Sparrow, or if he's going to be a little darker and more kind of off into the shadows type of a villain. So we have yet to see that as far as I know, but definitely an interesting casting in my opinion. So excited about that. Well, that's going to do it. I thought I did have a good amount to talk about today. I thought it'd take a little longer, but actually got through it fairly quickly. Anyways, I'm Zach, Cheap Shot Cinema. Check us out at cheapshotcinema.com. I'll put the website down below. We have original content, including videos and written content across a multitude of different topics. So yeah, definitely check us out. Again, that's cheapshotcinema.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, just Cheap Shot Cinema, and then Twitter at Cheap Shot Cinema. And then yeah, if you like what you see here, hopefully you did. Let me know if there's anything specifically you want me to talk about, but you can hit the like button down below. Also subscribe, and tell me in the comments if there's anything you want me to discuss, in the future, or if there's any other kind of broader topics you want me to go into more depth about. Thank you guys very much for stopping by. Links of everything I discussed are below, and you have a great day. Bye.